effective communication.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we want to welcome you guys all to the amazing brain candy sweet treats for the soul. Today, we're going to have an amazing conversation. The heartbeat of any relationship, effective communication is what we're going to be talking about. And boy, do me and Tara have an amazing story for you guys as we had a breakdown today. And, it's just not about relationships, within your business. It's just not relationships within friendships, relationships in your actual, personal life, relationships with your kids. Today, we're really going to be sharing some insights, some tips and tricks, and really the self-awareness at the end of the day. And boy, today, me and Tara's conversation that we'll share with you guys here in a little bit is really going to, share with you, some insights of your life and how they might take part for you. And really us having this amazing conversation in the Hello Plaza, in Metaverse, that if you guys don't know the Metaverse, you can join from your cell phone, from your laptop, from your iPad, from your actual VR headsets, if you do have them. And as those of you that are watching us live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitch, on X, on Instagram, you will see us right now in our amazing Hello Plaza storefront. That if you don't know, this is a new way to be able to engage, interact, and build your community faster than ever, and utilizing 3D immersive experiences that you guys can come and join us. And boy, if you guys don't know, we have some amazing sales happening right now that started yesterday, right? And we're definitely going to be talking about more of that, of being able to understand, get it before grandma early bird sales happens, because you don't want your grandma beating you to these amazing sales as she builds her foundation and her actual systems. And so we are running some amazing specials that you guys will be seeing up until our amazing QVC. I was about to say QVC, right? Yeah, QVC special broadcast show for those of you that came and visit us at our amazing Santa Secret Sauce Masterclass. And we got some other specials for those of you that want to still come and join us. That event is on the 23rd that we're going to have, where you guys can be able to showcase your business, showcase your brand, showcase what you do, how you do it, and more importantly, let people know that you are out here and you have a business. Because as you guys know, you don't have a business if you don't talk about your business. And we definitely want to give you a platform in the Metaverse that you can be able to showcase. And not only will it be played on the 23rd, it will also be played throughout the entire holiday season. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, wherever we can fit it in, we're going to be playing the whole entire recording. So definitely come and join us with this amazing event. You guys make sure you give some love. Make sure you share this room out to your friends. Your friends become our friends, and we become family together. Because please remember, collaboration is the new currency, and this new frequency of us really understanding that there's enough abundance out here for us all to win, as long as you get outside of those old traditional ways and really letting the 4 most expensive things hold you back. And you want to know what they are? It's a closed mind, it's a closed mouth, it's a closed heart, and it's a closed hand. And so we want you to open up those things as wide as possible, as they say, bust it wide open and really bring it back. And let's open your mind up to some new things, because the future is already here. And a great quote that I heard earlier that I want to share with you. The future is only here for those that prepare today. And so make sure you're being preventative with your business today, especially as we talk about this heartbeat of effective communication, because what you do at home, what you do with your friends is what you do at your business, and vice versa, because all is one at the end of the day. And that's really what we're going to have this amazing conversation on. And so before we get this party started, Love, you have anything you want to add or share with the folks?
Yeah, well, I just want to welcome everybody on in. This is going to be a great conversation. It really is something that, to be very frank, a lot of us, might care or might not care about. And that subject is the communication and relationships. Some people could just kind of in life live in the world of this is how I communicate, this is how I am in relationships, this is just who I am, and deal with it.
Yeah, tough love.
And I say that because I too had that attitude in my life in my younger years, and then kind of just going back and spending the last 90 days with my family. I just realized I just had some epiphanies, as they say.
You had some epiphanies, girl?
Yeah, you just kind of realize how, where I used to be in my level of communication, and how real effective communication where you're not getting, triggered and not having reactions and not getting upsets can really allow communication to be done through hard times or through difficult times, and not allowing your emotions to get the best of you. And today, like you said, we had a great conversation about kind of the equation that relationships and communication play into. And when I say the equation, think of a simple algebra equation: A plus B equals C. And when you really start to kind of look at the mechanics of things and break things down, let me just say this. It's always easier said than done, right? But it is simpler to understand and to identify where the breakdowns are and how that communication fails, and how you can get your wheels just spun into a reactive environment to where you're in reactive communication instead of, communication that's actually going to be effective and move you forward. So I'm excited about today's conversation. Of course, as always, David and I, we share openly, we share authentically, about our relationship. We've had people share with us that we're #relationship goals and that they want to have a significant other like, we have found. And we're flattered. We are absolutely flattered by that statement and those comments when people share that with us. But we also feel that it's very important for us to be very open so people can understand it's taken work for us to get where we are. We've had many, many, many times where we have just said, to heck with this, throw in the towel and be done with it. We have... some people can make it look very easy. David and I have had lots of lessons in life growth, life growing, or growing of life. I don't know how you would say that. I don't know if that's the right word, but we've grown. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. And how we've had to kind of implement those things in order to do so, and to get where we're at and not really live in the world of the old us, because if we were the old us, we would not be here, boo-boo. Oh, no. We absolutely wouldn't. At all. At all. Period. Statement done. Yeah. Conversation over. This room is done with. Yeah. As they say, sayonara. Yeah, we would not have made it. We would not be here having this conversation. So as a responsibility, we feel that it's a responsibility of ours that if people are going to, kind of give us those accolades, we want to be very open and honest and transparent and vulnerable and authentic and all those words about where we've come from and how we used to communicate and how our relationship used to be, and really kind of how we made that transition, and why we made that transition, and why we didn't end up going our separate ways and we stuck it out. Yeah. So all those fun things. Yeah. And, when we talk about, the heartbeat of any relationship, effective communication, let's make this very clear. Communication is more about your ass listening than you talking. And a lot of people, when they heard us, and when you came in this room, it was, ooh, how can I communicate better? Well, by you listening better. Let's start there, because your lack of communication, your ineffective way of communication is you not listening. And we're going to be 100 because we had this conversation earlier. It's so hard for me to sit over here and not talk. He's talking to me like in a roundabout way. Well, all of us. Not in a bad way. It's all of us. I'm not offended by any means. Well, because we had this conversation earlier, right? It's about letting someone else talk, and especially with the acronym that you're going to share with them later,
right? It all goes down to you listening so you can communicate effectively with people, because we think that communication is communicating the way we have communicated throughout our lifetime, throughout our traumas, throughout our dramas, throughout our patterns and programs. And we're not really being effective in that way. And as we share with you guys, AI and this metaverse is allowing us really to see how ineffective, we communicate to each other. You go put prompts into ChatGPT, as we did with our masterclass last week, and you can get a completely different answer by the way that you communicated with it. And then you have to go back and put this and put that, right? And be like, oh, this is what I meant. This is what I said, but that's not what you put in originally. So this is what you got.
Yeah.
And we don't have that opportunity as we do in conversations with each other, because there is no, ooh, or there is, ooh, that's not what I meant to say. This is what I meant to say. So take me upon this right now, but not what I said earlier, that God is here. And it gets us in so much trouble, right? Trouble by not, being able to, effectively communicate. So let's share with the people, our situation earlier.
We always got a situation.
Right? Our situation that we shared earlier, that we talked about earlier, that got us to, get more in depth about this. And so I'll start.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Right? So earlier today,
I want to hear his side.
Yeah, that part. so she can go back behind and say, oh no, that didn't happen. Right? Kind of like those bag of chips.
Huh.
If you guys do not follow us on TikTok, I highly encourage you to follow hello_LLC, because Tara and I have some gifts on there, some laughter on there that you definitely cannot miss. We're goofy. We're goofy like no other. We are part-time comedians. So if this metaverse and this AI doesn't work, we will be on the nearest, stage in your town coming. I can assure you of that. And so back to the story.
Yes.
Earlier today, Tara was in an audio room, a social audio room. And Tara was about to share something, or she wasn't about to share. They were having a conversation, and they were saying, hey, if you have, any services or products that you would like to share with the room, go and share it with people. And so me and Tara have had this thing that when she gets in social audio rooms, like I will say, and I will encourage her to say this, say that, and she really doesn't like it. She hates it, to be matter of fact, right? And there's a backstory to this, because it's all going to come around. And so I was being silent as a mouse for about a good 20, 30 minutes of this conversation. And finally, this lady said something, and I was rebelling back to this lady. And I was like, yeah, we actually do that, and we should share with her our grandma cells that we have going. And Tara immediately.
This was off mic, yes.
Tara
we were listening to her room.
Yeah, we were listening to her room, and Tara immediately said, I was going to talk about corporations and my corporate job and this, that, and another. Cut me off completely. And I'm like, whoa, spicy, huh? And so I went to go back and talk. I didn't say that. I went back to go and talk, and she cut me off again. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to do this. So I walked out, right? I walked out. And so later on, after we cooled down, we were, and it wasn't a big thing. I know for me, it wasn't. Right?
But just let each other have their 5 minutes.
Let each other have their 5 minutes. And so, this is where, Tara came back, and we were sitting down, and I was communicating with her, hey, baby, you cut me off, and, you didn't allow me to finish, and you were saying one thing, but you didn't say that. You were talking about your corporation, and I was trying to share with you about, our cells that you could use in not your old position. And, this is what I was trying to share, and not this. And, this is when we had the come to Jesus. Oh, I did interrupt you. Oh, I did say this, that I was having a conversation by myself.
Light bulb.
Yeah, the light bulb moment, right? Like, oh, that's right. I was having a conversation by myself that I expected you to know about. And you said something that was not in line with the conversation I was having. And so it really came down to that. And before we go into it, I'll let you share your story because it was earlier this afternoon.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
absolutely.
sure I missed something.
Well, no, it's just what we discovered through our conversation was that we saw it in two different ways.
Yeah.
The way that you shared right now, and there was, absolutely. Did I cut you off? 100%. Will not deny it. Absolutely did. I was having a conversation in my head when I was listening to this lady because she was posing the question to the audience. So I was formulating my response in my head. And the conversation had flowed from, basically it was talking to a bunch of entrepreneurs and how you got from corporate America over to entrepreneurship and what services do you offer. That was essentially the conversation overall. And I was, formulating my response in my head, and David was there, and he said something like, well, we do that. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to, go ahead and respond to that from backing into it from my corporate, talk about the corporate side, and then get into, some of our services. And David's like, no, don't go that direction. Share about our grandma early bird sale. I get it before grandma early bird sale that we just launched yesterday. And I butted in again and said something else. And then in my recollection, I realized I was interrupting him because he brought it to my attention and said, "You're interrupting me." And I shut up. And I was like, I am. Let me shut up and just listen. And that was where we kind of saw the story a little different, is that, I allowed him then to speak and share what he needed to share. And then he chose to walk away. And my rub in the situation was, yes, I did interrupt you. Yes, I did shut up to allow you to finish. So twice, I did interrupt twice. I did, though, allow you to finish and get what your thought was. And the moment you got your thought done and completed, you walked out and left me hanging, and I didn't get a response. And now 15 years into this relationship, y'all, we have been together for 15 years. We have come to an agreement that we've got to allow the other person to create space to speak, that you can't just share something and walk off and not create that space. But I realized that he left because he didn't want a situation to pop up and an argument to happen, because we know our quote unquote lights, camera, action. We know how we get into an or ox cart is in the ditch, and how we get real spicy with each other and how that gets there quickly. And so we know just to kind of give each other some space. And so as he walked off, I said, well, thank you for allowing me to share as you walk off. And he stayed away for probably about 20 or 30 minutes. We were working and doing our own thing. And he had to come back over in my room my office to get a few things that he was picking up, as he was moving technology around for this room. And, nothing was said. Later, we came and sat back down to the table and had this conversation openly, and realized, that where the breakdown of communication, how we both saw it differently, just minute things, but also from my part, to own, I absolutely did interrupt you, and that doesn't work. And then as we dove deeper into the conversation, I shared with David, well, what happened was that you triggered an old way of being by you coming in and sharing what your response would be in this situation. As we have talked about in the past, I have, I absolutely do not do micromanagement, or this is how you should do something, to the point of being micromanaged or told what to do. That trauma, that trigger stems from my father, who used to, if you had a task like to, clear out all the ditches for the irrigation water, he would tell you, step by step, minute steps, not like, just the overall 1, 2, 3, here you go, take off and go do that. And you have done this 10 times in your lifetime. You're not new to this, but my father would just micromanage that and you had to do it his way. And it absolutely makes my skin crawl when I feel like that situation is coming up. And so for me, in that situation today, that's what sparked. That was the trigger that got triggered that David, kind of lit the fire to. And that is where my immediate reaction was to interrupt and defend myself about how I'm going to handle the situation, and to stop and realize that, David was only lending, some helpful, not even advice, not even that, just helpful information as a reminder, as I do all the time to him. And that was part of the aha moment in our conversation about 30 minutes after that little scenario went down was, you know what? I don't like it when you come in and share with me how to handle a situation or do something, but you know what? I do that to you quite a bit. So I'm going to take ownership of that. I'm going to, say, I'm sorry. I'm going to be more aware of that, because it doesn't matter how things get done, as long as they get done in an effective, timely manner that's not wasting your time or my time. And so that was kind of my viewpoint of how it happened, a little bit of the differences of where we saw things kind of land differently based on that reaction, that trauma, or whatever is happening in one's life or did happen in one's life, and how to kind of, identify that and to own it, and, really just be like, hey, yeah, I reverted back in those old ways. And there was more to that conversation that we'll share here in a bit, because it really just streamlined our conversation into what we want to talk about today, which was kind of the breakdown of how to figure things out, and really where people go wrong. Well, the majority of us, as people go wrong because we don't identify that trigger and all of that. And we'll jump into that to kind of break down here in a second, but I want to pause and allow to, pass that mic back to you so you can, chime in on, what I had shared right here.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you brought back to my attention, right, is that, when you did cut me off the first time and wouldn't let me share, you then cut me off the second time and wouldn't let me share. You then wanted to speak your piece. And I'm like, no, if you're going to interrupt me and not allow me to share, then I'm just going to walk off because you cut me off. And so I'm walking away. And you can't sit there and interrupt me and say, oh, no, I don't want to fight, and then continue to share what you want to share when you didn't give me the opportunity to talk.
And that's where we have the differencing of the recollection of how that went.
Yeah,
and that's what we used to fight over. 100.
Absolutely. And not give each other grace, not give each other, the benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. And then even more importantly, like we talked about, right, is not being aware of those triggers. Yeah. And as we had the conversation that, when you shared with me, well, David, you always, give me advice, and you always try to tell me what to do, and you always try to do this. That's a trigger that you had no matter what I said at that particular moment, because I shared with you afterwards that, hey, you know what? I was cooking breakfast. I heard you in there speaking. I didn't come and bring you food because I know you don't like it when people interrupt you, because I know I don't like it. Hey, I know there was a couple times I could have said something, but I didn't say nothing. And I said, don't say shit, don't say shit, don't say shit.
I was biting my tongue.
I was biting my tongue not to say nothing. And yet here it is, we've gotten back here, and this is where we shared, right, that, having these conversations and being vulnerable with each other, right, allows us to grow. And something that we've shared, is that communication is sexy. And a lot of the times we choose not to communicate, and we choose to ball that up. We choose to, not be vulnerable to our partner and not share what's really on our mind. So the next go around, right, that if I do say something, you're going to remember, hey, David's not, not doing this. And even more importantly, you said it. You do it to me, which is why we share with you all what you're upset about and what you're mad about at somebody else. 9 times out of 10, your ass is doing it the most, which is why you can pick it out and why it irritates you more than ever. And because that's what you do. And so this is the awareness that we come to bring to you guys' conclusion, right? And really being able to not burn bridges and have these conversations. And then one of the other things that we talked about, right, is, the time to reaction. because, the time to react, that, you have to have that distance from each other, that when that trigger did come up to you, and a trigger does come up for us all in any situation, have some time in between that other than reacting. And that's what we share with you guys all, is that a lot of the times we react in life, right? Other than responding in life.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, we respond in life and we should react.
No, we're reacting.
Yeah, we're reacting instead of responding the correct way.
The difference between that is time.
Yeah.
Which is what we were breaking down in our conversation earlier, was the simple algebra equation to this is A plus B equals C. We all learned that when we first started the first week of algebra, as a foundation.
Yeah.
And it was, okay, well, A equals 2 and C equals 4. What's B? Well, we all know B's 2. It's a pretty easy solution. And that's really how easy this is when the environment is right. When you both are having the responsibility to make a correct space, to create a proper space where we both can feel like we've been heard through our sharing, that we understand that the other person doesn't have to agree with us, but as long as we feel heard and understood through that, and identify the breakdowns and where we can get better. Yeah. And that right there has taken us years to be able to give, because for so long we were both very stuck in, I need to be heard.
Or to avoid to looking bad.
Well, that's where I was
looking
going.
Good. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but you're dead on. That's exactly where I was going, is those things that we learned with the avoid to, look bad, the looking good running the show, as we say.
Do we want to explain to people what that means? Because we said we know what it means, but most people don't.
The looking good to running the show means that you're more worried about what you look like, who you are, how you're responding, what you're wearing for the day, what you're driving, what you live in, what you're eating, compared to what other people see. So it's that looking in. Think of like when you're like window shopping,
not being embarrassed.
And it's wearing always new clothes and having the newest shoes and driving the newest car, and not being with the real you is what it means. It means putting on that facade for everybody else, that you're this persona, you handle yourself in this manner, when in reality that is a facade. And if it's a professional facade you have to put on because that's the line of work you're in, you have to, handle yourself in a certain type of way, but that facade you cannot keep up forever. And so what we share is it's the looking good running the show, meaning you're out here trying to put your best foot forward, look good, but that is not going to be where you cannot withstand that energy or that way of being. And so that was something David and I, learned about 8 or 9 years ago, was that for a long time, the looking good was running our show of how we dressed, what we looked like, all of this, where we were going to eat, all of this stuff, materialistics and behavior wise too. And when David talked about right now, the vulnerability or the authenticity, the reason why people don't want to be vulnerable or be authentic with each other, especially in a intimate relationship like David and I have as significant others, is because that information then gets wielded back at you as an attack later on. It did for us. We were not healthy in the sense that we would utilize that information. If Dad did something that was very similar to maybe, how his dad has done things, I would make the comment of, you're no different than your father, which how many of you guys know, listening to that phrase right there, that is the old age saying. I mean, I listen to my mom and dad say that all the time to each other. I've listened to David's parents say that to each other. I mean, I've listened to aunts and uncles say that. You're just like your sisters or your mother or your brother or your dad or whatever. It's that. It's always kind of, so that whole, that pushing that button, taking that little stab.
And let's be honest, we all know what jab to press our other significant other. or our friends,
the buttons.
Or in business, we all know, what can be done. And so, that's so true. And so, I want to welcome you guys all in from all of our different platforms. We're here on our actual Facebook. We're here on our LinkedIn live and audio room. Welcome, 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 Henry. Welcome, Terrence. Welcome, Wayne. Welcome, Mr. I don't want to butcher this name. Can you help your brother out? Selassie. And then welcome in Miss Sandy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you all for putting comments. Henry, thank you for your amazing comment you put as well. Miss Tracy J. Cole was with us last week for our amazing Hello Pivot. You guys definitely go check out her amazing copywriting and narrating skills that she has to offer for you all. And then definitely, be able to, come and join us in the metaverse. And then on our Instagram, we got the amazing Miss Tayborn, as always, with buttons up. If you guys have not went to go check out her amazing Biz in a Box and check out her actual apparel line, you are missing out, my friends, on all the new things. She's actually about to drop a new apparel collection tomorrow as well. So be on the lookout for that. And welcome in Johnny, welcome in Paul, Belito, welcome, welcome, welcome. So thank you guys all for pressing the button and spending your time with us, because, you could be anywhere else, but you're spending your 7 o'clock time with us. And as we continue to share, time is our only competition. And if that's your competition, guess what? We're on the same damn side at the end of the day. And so, one of the things
and before you jump, I just want to say, and thanks for everybody listening to us on X Spaces for listening to this conversation. Thank you for being here. Back to you, Mr. Jones.
And one of the things, because there's another story we could share, is that and then hey, look, if any of you guys want to come up on stage, please feel free to come up here and share any of your stories or what you got, on effective communication. So, one of the things that we came to a conclusion of was that it's you.
Yeah.
It's you. It's the expectations that we hold for other people to respond, how they should respond. And that's really us assuming what we would do and expecting and holding them to what they should do. And it just doesn't work that way. And then one of the other things, is letting go of the past. We remind, especially me and Tara, we remind you guys to let go of the past, because what happens, as it did today, past experiences brought about today's, future. And if we continue to live in the past, then we're going to get past, results, other than looking at it from a standpoint of, oh, I interrupted. Oh, shit, I didn't let her finish. Oh, this happened, that happened. And it's really us being and taking responsibility of the energy, the vibration, and the frequency that we show up in as.
May I add something to that about letting go of the past?
Yeah.
And I've shared this with you. We've had this conversation about letting go of the past for eons, it seems like. But yes, absolutely agreed. And one of the things that we have talked about in our past, in our conversations, is that in order to let go of the past, you have to be able to get a clean slate, take ownership, and mend some of those broken fences. It's not hard to get to a clean slate, but I will tell you, the hard part about getting to a clean slate is being authentic about who you are being, not the other person. And when you were talking about what we came down to, and we realized that in the end of this, it is you. The problem and the solution, everything lies within you. And what we mean by that is you cannot control the other person, the way they look at you, the way they speak to you.
They might got
what they have to say to you, how they have to say to you, and any nonverbal language. You cannot control that. And the reason, I'll prove to you how you cannot control it. And this, you're like, this is that, age-old example that we always use is, I can't pee for you.
Yeah.
I cannot get you into the restroom, onto that toilet, and I cannot do that function for you. I can get you there. I can get you prepared. I can talk you through it, but I can't release the actual fluid out of your body, period. I can't do it. And so with that
was TMI.
I as non-TMI, but because of that, I can't control your reaction, your verbal or nonverbal reaction or conversation with me. Yeah. But what I can control is myself, my reaction, understanding that the equation that is between a conversation and a reaction, so an action to a reaction, the missing equator, that B value in your equation is the trigger, and that's the response time when you feel triggered, because the reaction comes from a trigger, period. And so that's what happens at the end of the day, is to understand that you are that person who has the only control over your response and how you're going to show up. And that's why we say it's a response and not a reaction, because a reaction then thrusts you into a evolution of reacting communication, reactive communication. All you both are doing is reacting to the other person's hurt, and to then defend yourself. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Or
that's not what I'm trying
you go
to
and
say,
hurt that
do.
other person.
Or turn back around and being like, well, you always do this, or this is something that you just don't like that because your daddy used to do this to you, Tara, or something. And then we're back into pushing those buttons and poking those ribs.
Don't say
and
that.
Here you go. And then you're in an upset. And then you can't figure out, well, I wasn't even mean. I was just trying to help. And in reality, something that we had to discover was, in order to be authentic and open and honest and vulnerable with each other, is we really had to get to a space where that's off limits. You can't use that against someone if they are sharing with you an aha moment of, hey, you know what, like I did with you today. You know what, that was a trigger. That's because of, going through this with my dad, and then also in, corporate America, I had a few, bosses that were like that. And so going through that, it was that experience to say, hey, you know what, and I do this to you, and not having you respond in the manner of, see, I told you, you do it, and the I told you so, because nobody loves an I told you so. And so it really takes effort on both ends. You have to have two willing parties that want to communicate and want to create space where the other person feels heard.
Yeah, you should. It's so spot on. Both people have to be willing to work, and the other person can't be talking about, well, see, look at that. See, look at that. See, look at that person is not changing, when in all reality, it's you not changing. And so that's something that we continue to work on. And it's so hard, like you said, the looking good, the avoiding to look bad, right? The avoiding to not apologize and own up to it. Look, that we are, and there's so many rooms that we have about forgiveness, and yet, we don't forgive other people. We hold these grudges. Now, let me get this correct. There are boundaries that you have to hold. Let me be very clear on that. I got some stories for you, but another
not us.
Yeah. Another example, right, would be today, I had an appointment with one individual, and this individual rescheduled their appointment now for the second time. And we have systems in place that, let me tell you, my friend, it is very hard to miss our appointments, because you get a 24-hour reminder, you get an hour reminder, you get a 10-minute reminder, and then you get an actual reminder of the actual meeting. And then we mean email and text message, right, that you get. And this person, decided that they were going to go into an audio room that I was literally in and watch them, join the room, but they were supposed to be in our actual meeting. On my Zoom meeting. And this is their second time, making the appointment with me. And so, and missing it. And with no show, no communication whatsoever. And this is the looking good or the avoiding to look bad, where the response that after I sent them a message and I said, hey, this is the second time. Time is my most important, aspect. I'm pretty sure you can understand this as a business owner, professional as you can possibly be.
Nice, yes.
Very nice. the response I got back was, well, I'm a coach and I have class, and I didn't get the message. I didn't get the email, the reminder. And I'm like, well, you booked the appointment in my schedule, and whether you're a coach or you have class, you booked it, so you book it around that. And this is your second time, and you have forgotten that you actually responded to my last email of the reminder. So it's not like you're not getting my emails. So I'm a little confused, and that's the avoiding to look bad. And then after that fact, I just said, you know what? No worries at all. I could have gotten to my ways and been like, went off and said some derogatory things and just been real spiteful. But this is also where in communication, and listen to me well and listen to me good, you can either be rich or you can be right. I had every bit to be right in that conversation and to let her know exactly every wrong turn she made. But I did not. I literally just said, hey, no worries at all. It's okay. We're good. Do not let this disrupt your day, because after she gave me all the excuses, it then turned into, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to waste your time, this, that, and the other. And if we just come clean from the very beginning and communicate and say, hey, I forgot, my bad, I shouldn't have did this, right? When can I reschedule right now? Are you available now? Then we can avoid a lot of the headache. But when we get into our, defensive mechanism, especially in business, especially not to look good, I did this when I was late, or I didn't show up to an appointment, or I didn't have my systems in order. I would try to find every excuse under the book to not take ownership or say I was late or say it wasn't me. I would come up with everything else, knowing dang well it was on me, and just avoid it. And so this is why we want to, have this conversation, so you guys can stop having this conversation. And guess what? That person booked their third appointment, right? And so hopefully they always say third time's a charm. And this is where we get to choose how we communicate effectively. And this is where we all have these moments in our days, especially a lot of you are entrepreneurs and that will hear this. We all have those moments. And it used to eat my ass alive when people would, miss my appointments and waste my time. And now I've just gotten to the point not to let that impact my day, because back in the day, David would have thrown his computer, thrown his phone, thrown everything, and the day would have been over. And, a drink would have been made, and the day was over with. 5-6 cigarettes in the air within the next hour. Over. I'm done. And we cannot allow, as we shared earlier, allow time in between that reaction. And so many times we go straight to reacting, and you do the same exact thing. You drop whatever you want to drop in and look at your life and look at your arguments and look at what happens. I promise you, you will find, if you're able to be onerous and you're able to be honest with yourself, you do the same things. You react the same way.
Well, and what you have shared and what we shared within the conversation we had was the level framework, which is part of what started this conversation last week was, the level framework. So let me explain to you guys what the level framework is. Level is LVLL. That's level, not LEVEL. I know that's the proper way to spell it, but this acronym is LVLL. And this stands for, the first L stands for listen, which is what you shared at the beginning, is to authentically listen. That helps create the space to the other person that they're being heard. What they're sharing is being heard. And I'm going to tell you, 9.9% of the time out of, 10, 99.99999, it comes down to just wanting to be heard and someone listen to what you've got going on. So the first L is listen. Then you got the V, and V is validate. This is where you get to validate the conversation of what the person is sharing. And this is something David and I have done in our relationship for the last 8 years that we've been fine-tuning, which is sharing back with the other person what you heard them to say. I heard you to share this, and repeat back what they say. Validate what that you heard them, and that this is what the issue or the good or the bad that's going on for them.
Don't put your 2 cents in there.
Just
don't put your little spitefulness in there, or turn it around what they said or how they said. You repeat it back how they said it. Trust me, that was a 2-3 year process alone.
Yeah, you just couldn't, put your little 2 cents and poke and, your little jabs in there and say things in the way. You just really had to authentically say, I heard you to share this with me. And, was that what you're trying to communicate to me? And so that's the validate step, right? And then the third L is to level. I know we got the level, LVLL, but now we're leveling with LEVEL. And what does that mean? Well, that means that, for instance, let's use the example that I used this example with David the other day, but it was, you have a private jet and all of a sudden you call up the owner of the private jet and I want a full grown pink elephant on the jet to ride with me live, a real life elephant. And so you hear this person, so you listen to this comment.
L,
and then V is validate. Okay, ma'am. Well, Miss Tara, I hear you to share that your request would be to have a real live, full-grown pink elephant on the private jet with you. Yes, that's exactly what I said. Okay, great. So that's validate. And then level. Then you come back with where you level the conversation out. And the reason why I use this random, outrageous, big, full-grown pink elephant is because it is outrageous. And this is a part of where it shows you to level the conversation back down into reality because this is where we need to be. And so part of leveling that would be, Miss Bush, I totally understand that, you would love to have a full-grown pink elephant, on the plane with you as you fly. Unfortunately, I hate to burst your bubble, but our plane can't carry that much weight. We just won't be able to get off the ground. We would just crash and burn, and then maybe something awful would happen and we would all perish, and we just can't do that. We can't physically get off the ground with a real life elephant in the airplane. So that's level. I brought it back down to reality. I shared where I would love to be able to do that, but we can't. And then the last L is lead. So you go from level to lead. And what does that mean? Lead means come up with solutions. And so a solution would be lead the conversation into a solution way, so that way everybody is appeased and happy with the result of the conversation. So to finish out our pink elephant on the airplane would be, we just can't get off the ground, Miss Bush, if we do have a real life, one. But I can actually get you a big pink elephant. It's going to have to be stuffed because, it's only going to be about 20 pounds at that point, and we can definitely fly, but we can get you a life-size one. It'll be pink. Is there any other things that you would like us to add to that? We'll take care of that, and we'll get that, life-size stuffed pink elephant into the plane so you can fly with that. How does that sound? And that's leading the conversation into a solution, showing them why you can't do it, validating them to where they feel like they've been heard and express their opinion and their needs to you, and then being able to guide it into a solution if you cannot fulfill the full real life, elephant on the flight. And so that's the level framework, LV. So again, that's listen for the first L. V is validate. The third L, or the second L, so the third letter though, is level, and then the last L is lead. And so that is a great framework to kind of utilize, whether you're in a professional setting. I've used that, guys, that kind of framework for the entire time I was in corporate America, which was, over 22 years, and 8 years in our business, almost 9, because there are some things we just can't do, whether it was in my professional setting at a corporate level, a corporate America level, or the professional setting here in our business. And that framework, being able to bring that, the funny thing is I had that mastered when it wasn't somebody that was my significant other. CEOs I was executive level, and I dealt with CEOs and COOs and CFOs and presidents and vice presidents on the daily basis. And every one of them, from extremely humble to nope, you're going to do it my way, how I want it, and why isn't it done yet, to that way. And so I mastered that, had no problem in my professional world. But when it came down to David and I in our personal relationships, what was stood in the way, and I will be very, very, very authentic about this, is the vulnerability that I did not want to put myself out there because, well, as a young girl, I was, taught to be very independent. So that I was always, kind of fighting my own independence because I didn't want anybody to help me because I didn't want to be dependent on anybody. But in addition, it was the ego, and it was my ego to not, be able to, in the younger years, be figured out, be elusive. So it was always that guessing game. That's, oh my God, that's so stupid. Just
100 Ways to Lose Your Man.
Yeah.
That movie?
Almost. Like, it's just, like saying that, as you get older, you just listen to what you did as a younger person in our relationship.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
let me see if I can do this.
That was so stinking dumb. Like, why did I think that was an effective plan that was going to create, harmony and peace? No, not at all. War. And then David said, I am here on your side. I am not, against you. And he would share with me, you bring war, T. You bring war to the conversation. And I had to really become one with that and go, I do that. And I realize why I do that is because it was only myself out here for a very long time taking care of myself. Now, we've had those conversations up until, the past couple of years too, guys. So, again, we're encroaching on finishing up our 14th year, starting our 15th year together in a relationship. And it's really been, when you look back, the want, and the reason why there was a want to have harmony, and peace in the relationship. But for me, what was showing up and the reason why is because it was like, no, if I share this with David, I'll be vulnerable. Then he'll have information on me that he can use against me when we're not on the same page and being me. This is the old.
Well, no. What would happen is that we would share with each other, our vulnerability. And when something happened or we got in an upset, we would use that as a weapon.
Yeah,
we would use that as a grenade. And that's when we share with people, that's when you burn the bridge, and then you try to, rebuild the structure, rebuild the bridge, and somebody, gets out of line, and there they go, throwing another grenade, blowing up the bridge again.
Well, and it got to the point where you didn't want to have the other person have the upper hand.
Yeah.
That's where I was trying to kind of get to what I was trying to share.
Yeah. You would cut people before they cut you.
Yeah. Because you didn't want that, you didn't want to go down that same experience. And I'll tell you guys, for a very long time, it was like lights, camera, action to the T on timing. And, now look, I'm going to be very, very high level on this, but there was times that we would then identify it being and I wouldn't say attached, but we would identify all of a sudden it was around the same time that my, as a woman, I would go through a cycle. And we all know what that cycle is. And so we would have to identify, okay, and then it got to, and I'll share this openly, I wouldn't want to share with David about what was going on with my body, whether it was, how I felt internally or my cycle or anything about
but we knew
the womanhood side of what was going on inside me, because at that point, it would feel like that information would get wielded back. And that's an example of not wanting to share information because it would get wielded back. And to be very frank, in the beginning, it was wielded in on purpose to hurt.
Yeah.
And in the, where we finally got to where it was kind of the tail end of that, it would be more shared, not wielded, but shared in the efforts to bring awareness to what was going on around certain different times. This week's different than this week, and the way that those mood swings. And I'll be honest, because David would bring this around to my attention in the beginning, I wanted to hear nothing about it. And my inner woman, hear me roar, showed up.
Yep.
And I would come out and be like, don't you dare talk about my womanhood or my cycle or anything aside. You don't know what that is to go through it. You don't know what I have to deal with. And you're over here acting like, I'm doing this on purpose. And it would get into a full-fledged, that was a huge trigger. And that's a trigger from societal. The societal thing.
It's the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And so within that sharing, where I was going with this was through David's sharing and getting to the point where he was like, look, I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to, solve this problem.
Fish are for friends.
Yeah.
I am a friend.
You've ever seen the Nemo
Don't
movie?
eat my head off.
Yeah. Fish are friends, not food. And so that would be kind of the reaction. And over time, David would share with me, hey, I'm trying to share with this from an educational point to where we can solve this and see if there's any correlation here. And what happened was when I finally allowed it to land and I wanted to be open to it, and it took time, trust me, it took time, it took years. When I finally decided I was going to be open to it, it thrusted me into learning more about my own self, in my own, how my body and my hormones change each week through a 30-day cycle, period. If you have not, if we as a society don't share enough about that and have that
Lisa does, and her amazing
Lisa absolutely does. I was just thinking of her while I was having this conversation in my head. But we don't share this enough as a general topic, not to get into, the nitty-gritties or anything. But as I shared with David, you have this one hormone and it goes straight all month long. Like, I wish I had that. I have these 3, possibly 4 different hormones at times, and they're like up, down, up, down, up, down, all the way across the board. And they're changing and moving and mixing and mingling. And some days it's great, and some days it's, it is war. And I really had to become aware of my own self. And that is why when David shared earlier that the answer to our equation when we talk about communication mishaps that happen in relationships, it comes down to you. And I had to take ownership of, I don't like David talking about my hormonal changes through the month and how this affects our relationship. It really gets underneath my skin, but I got to get to the point of understanding so that way, and to be very frank, I wanted to know so I could rebuke that information and that he was bringing to me and be like, no, that's not it. It's this. And some of that came valid. It was like, well, this is kind of what's going on, but not what you're saying, but this is kind of what's going on. But in the realm of things, you're pretty spot on. Right? This is what's actually going on. And I can, say,
oh, look over there.
Yeah, that part. And David, we have a funny inside joke of he'll be over here typing, don't say shit, don't say shit, don't say shit. It's a funny little joke that we had with my mom over the past 90 days that we spent with her and family. And it was just learning how to, just bite your tongue at sometimes. You want to be rich or right. But we share that, guys, so authentically because we want you guys to understand. So communication might come super easy to some people, and I am like all for it, love it. I wish it was for everybody. I can tell you, I took the long way around to figure things out and to identify that I was the problem. And when I say I was the problem, David Jones is standing right next to me saying, no, I'm the problem.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that is I can sit here and say, you need to change this and you need to do that and do this and do that and do this and then I'd be all better. Well, no, Ms. Gina, that's not how it works, Tara.
Yeah.
So,
you create your own happiness, you create your own reality.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and we
you
can't
fill your
allow
own cup of joy.
Other people to really, dictate how we live. So we want to welcome you guys all to the Hello LLC. If you don't know, you're in our Wisdom Wednesdays, sweet treats for the soul. Today, we're having an amazing conversation of the heartbeat of any relationship, effective communications. There's no other better way than for us to be able to share about effective communication, other than me and Tara talking about, what we go through in our almost 15-year relationship, being digital nomads, running our business together. We've been living in Colombia for almost a year, Mexico now for almost 2 years, and we're about to jump ship somewhere else here pretty soon. And really, this is where we share with you guys all how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so when we talk about effective communication, it's really taking ownership of how we show up, the energy, the vibration, the frequency, and really understanding, that you can do it and you believe in yourself. And more importantly, we want you all to understand us at the Hello LLC. Mi Casa, Su Casa, we want you to win just as we will win, and we'll continue to help other people win. And more importantly, right, there's enough abundance out here for us all to really be able to make it to the top as we change and as technology and as, different things happen around the world that we bring to your forefront, that we don't want you to have that looking good running the show. We don't want you to have that, oh, no, that's not going to happen. Or more importantly, we don't want you to not listen, because when we had this conversation, I was really writing down some things that it's about listening. And this is something we didn't talk about, is the nonverbal. The nonverbal got my ass in a lot of trouble, because when you see me, which is the great thing about Metaverse, right? I don't have to put myself on Zoom. My face will tell it all. So will Tara's. And then,
I think
everybody's does, right? And then being a solutionist. We share with people that broke people think about problems, rich people think about solutions, and it's not just about the money value. It's really about the mindset and bringing, the solutionist, and not talking about the past, not bringing up the past as a defense for now, really focusing on the situation at hand and getting over that, because look, we're not going to make it out of this bad boy alive. Let me just let y'all know this right now. We all are one day closer to our expiration day. And so when you lay down today, you need to ask yourself, hey, did I do everything? Am I happy with what I did today? Am I happy with how I treated with people today? Am I excited about how I treated myself, more importantly, today at the end of the day? And so that's what we want you guys to continue to bring on that energy. And so come and join us tomorrow for our Hello Pivot Thursday. We have the amazing Brenda Lise Acosta joining us at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, from burnout to breakthrough, a journey of transformation. And then definitely come and join us for Saturday, the amazing Kiss of Fame final episode of season 1 with Roberta Pacino. And that's going to be happening at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That is Al Pacino's sister.
That is Al Pacino's sister. So definitely come and join us on that. She's going to have some amazing, conversations about her last guest that she's had. She might even have some special guests join her also. And then, come and join us and be a part of our November 23rd event. If you missed our amazing masterclass, Santa's Secret Sauce, how to boost your revenue, then guess what? It's not too late. Today's the 13th. We still got about almost 2 weeks full for the holidays for you to start your Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Monday, right? Green sale, all of that. Then we definitely encourage you guys to take advantage of our Get It Before Your Grandma early bird sale. And instead of me talking about it, let our new AI video that we actually help people create utilizing AI in the metaverse. And this too is copy, paste, drag, drop. It was that easy. It might take you maybe a little bit longer the first time, depending on your level of how you want it to look. But the first go that I did it, I could have played it right there and then, but we're going to let this rock and roll. Here we go.
Don't let your grandma outpace you in upgrading systems and foundations. Dive into our exclusive Get It Before Grandma early bird sale and transform your business foundation. And
you guys can't hear it. I'll play it on the actual social media. So I'll send it out and you guys will be able to hear it there. But what it includes, right, is that you all will be able to get our amazing Biz in a Box, more than a website, a smart link. Now it's normally at $14.97. You can get it at $11.97. Yes, we do take payment plans, right? You also, look, that might have been a little steep, but if you cannot afford $7, then we need to talk. $7 gets you into our Pivot membership. You are going to get a copy of our masterclass that we just went over. You'll also get a one-on-one with myself or Tara to talk about strategy, talk about social media, talk about how to do this, talk about how to do that. Ask us away. We're going to help you figure it out. And then more importantly, you're going to get a 10-minute spot in our HQVC show that I just talked about on the 23rd to showcase your sales, showcase your business, and really be able to, get yourself set for the beginning of the year. We're not just going to be playing this on the 23rd when we go live. This will be played throughout the whole entire rest of the year on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Tuesday, the next weekend after that. I can assure you it's probably going to be on replay at least 5 or 6 times before the end of the year's out. So definitely come and join us and be a part of that. And then if you want us to actually do it for you, join our VIP membership at the $97 level, but you're going to get gold access, and that virtually triples everything from 3 actual appointments, one-on-ones. We actually do flyers. You get 3 flyers made. You get 2 AI videos made, 1 emotion work, 1 AI video. You also get a full hour on our actual Hello extravaganza on the 23rd. And we also will be able to host in our Hello Plaza 2 events that will actually do the back information for you. So let's say you have a book. Let's do a new book launch. Let's say you're a coach. You want to do a webinar. Let's say you are, a personal trainer. You want to do, who you are or workout. You will be able to have your guests come and visit you in the Hello Plaza from any device and utilize Mi Casa as your casa and really be able to showcase people. The future's already here. The question is, will you be here and will you keep up with all this technology? Because you're good, right, at your training and what you do, but you're definitely not great at the transaction. And that's where we can help you make that pivot into the future.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
For that down for all of us. Absolutely. So we encourage you all to join us for sure. The reason why we had this conversation today really was just to share, openly with you guys about, the ins and outs of life and how communication is really a heartbeat of any relationship, anything, whether it's professional.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If you want to take advantage of our actual holiday, get it before grandma, go to our business box, Tara's face, my face, hit that learn more button, and you'll be able to see that big old button that says get it before grandma, and you'll get all the information and details and sign up links right there in our business box.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. So, the whole point of having this conversation really was, that the authenticity, and we've just had a lot of people share with us the past couple of weeks about, they really admire our level of communication, how we are able to, not only communicate with them or, how we communicate with each other in social settings and whatnot. And so we just wanted to share authentically how that, shows up for us, the pushing the boulder up the mountain kind of thing for the past, umpteen years, and really learning how to stick through it and not giving up. There have been many times we wanted to throw the towel in, many times.
Or throw each other off the balcony.
Either one. It didn't matter at that point. We just wanted to be
and delay on calling the cops.
And be rid.
I don't know what happened. She fell in the kitchen.
I don't know how he fell. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, baby, you okay?
Yeah, that part. So, it's just kind of having that. And I share this as we get ready to wrap up this room. Today, when I was in that audio room, listening in, one young lady, she was in logistics or is in logistics. And they were asking her how she got started in that. She says, oh, well, my husband was in logistics as a truck driver, and I really learned that side of the business, and we started a business together. But we started that business together, but we're no longer together because of the business, because we just couldn't, work together. And guys, my heart went out to her, because David and I so understand that. There has been many times when we even entered our business, we even said, we're not going to allow our business to tear our relationship apart. So if our business and being business partners, as well as, in a personal, intimate relationship,
and digital nomads.
So we're together all the time, except if one of us goes to the store or goes to work out. It really just came down to the simple fact of my heart went out to her because there have been so many times through all of those things that David and I wanted to throw a towel in and just call it quits and be done. And to heck with what agreement we made, starting the business, we didn't care at that point, just be done with it and have everything and walk away. And we get that. So, we share this authentically, that it's really taken some, grit, and it really took us digging in to be authentic with ourselves. Anytime something goes down, I am the first person now in my head to go, okay, what was my part in this? Where did I show up and be a little bit of a stickler, or a prickly, spicy, jalapeno,
curmudgeon head?
Yeah, curmudgeon head, as I share sometimes. It's just, where was I not really being the most authentic to where I could hold a conversation? And guys, look, this doesn't mean by giving up your boundaries. If you've got boundaries, you need to authentically share those with the other person, whether it's a professional or a personal relationship. And you just got to be able to learn how to share that. And that was one of the things that I know while I was back home for 90 days, hanging out with my family. One thing I tried to explain to some of my family members was it's that expectation level that you have of other people. And really, in reality, it's who are you being in the situation. And I realized very quickly that I haven't been home. First of all, I hadn't been home like that in 25 years. I've been home every year, a couple times a year, maybe for a week, maybe 2 weeks, but not 90 days at one time. That had been the most time I'd spent with my family since I left when I was 18 years old. And so it just was a great realization of how much growth I have done, how much growth David and I have done, and really just it. And I share this because what got me thinking about this is my brother had made a comment to me that, he was able to, have conversations with different people that he's not had before. And I didn't realize that there's people out here that are just not connecting with other humans. Our communication levels are just not there. And I share this because what got me thinking about this is Mr. Jones actually pushed the wrong button on one of the phones. Anywho,
Oopsies.
It's okay. No worries. So I shared that, and just realizing, through that share with my family and with, others, is that the fastest track to getting to resolution is having a solution mindset and identifying where you could have done better, where you have some growth, but also being kind. And when I say be kind, addressing your boundaries, having your boundaries, but not having to, beat people up over your boundaries. You got to have boundaries. You got to maintain those, but there's a way to deliver it. So yeah, that's why we did this conversation, and we really appreciate you guys, joining us today. So again, join us, every Tuesday and Wednesday in our audio rooms, wherever you chose to listen to us today. That's where we're at every Tuesday and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our Tuesday rooms are a little more business minded and how-tos and, showing you how to do things and utilize AI and Metaverse and all that. Our Wednesday conversations are a little more brain candy, kind of just thoughtful conversations like today was. Is just kind of, soak in some, conversation. And if it's something lands and it helps, it's wonderful, and if not, thanks for being here, that kind of way. And then Thursday is our Hello Pivot Live, which if you would love to be a guest on our Hello Pivot Live, you can reach out to us. We're always looking for guests to share that beautiful experience and to promote who you are and what you are doing in your business, because that's important to us, is to make sure at the end of the day that you guys also, are being promoted, because in our world, there's enough abundance for everybody. We all get to win. And our stage is your stage, and that's why we always share with people to come on up and share their experience, share who they are, share what they're up to, and share how the community can support them. And so with that said, Mr. Jones, any closing comments as we wrap up this beautiful room we've had today?
No, you guys definitely be on the lookout for, our Get It Before Your Grandma sales, and take advantage of all the amazing things that we are going to showcase to you. And more importantly, just keep showing up, right? Share, support, comment, that's free at the end of the day. And give what you want. You want somebody to like your comments. You want somebody to share your post. And I asked you, how many people are you sharing and giving too, because that's where it starts, is you first.
And
it's this conversation, right?
Yeah, and I have to say, someone who's really good at that is Miss Buttons Up herself, Miss Marshall.
Miss Marshall will share your son, your daughter, your husband. If you posted about it, she's sharing about
and liking and loving on it. So
right?
we want to give her some love and shout out to her because we appreciate that. And to anybody and everybody else that has commented today, jumping in here and just by attending the room, we appreciate the support. We appreciate you guys tuning in. And if there's ever anything that we can help you guys with in your life, whether it's personal or professional, that's what we're here for. We understand that in order to help others, we have to share our story authentically. So that helps encourage other people with what they're doing. So with that said, Mr. Jones,
love,
kindness,
integrity,
but most importantly,
commitment
and
consistency.
And until next time,
doodles.
Doodles.
See you guys later.